Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this cute little meant-to-be Merci chocolate holder. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how I got started. Okay, I am going to start with the stamping on this project. So I am going to stamp the image, and then I am going to color it with my blends, and I'm using Lovely lipstick. I'm going to take the lighter Lovely lipstick and color the image closest to me. And then I'm going to take the darker Lovely lipstick and I'm going to color the smaller flower in the background. Just quick and simple coloring. And then I'm going to take the soft sea foam and I am going to color in the leaves. And I happen to be using the dark for this, and then I can take my light sea foam and color in the berries and a couple of the other leaves. There we go, quick and easy, and I am ready to cut this out with the Big Shot. Okay, here's my image that I've cut out, and this die that we used gives you both the cut heart and this lovely stitched scallop heart when you do it. So we're going to save both of these pieces. Okay, next we're going to cut the heart-shaped image. So I'm going to take my Designer Series paper and I am going to slide it into my die from the top, from the bottom. What I'm looking to do is cut the top of this heart off. So I'm going to slide that in, line up the scallop edges at the top, and have the bottom over the top of the die. And this will allow this portion not to cut. Okay, I've got my die here on my magnetic platform, and I've got it so that it's touching the top of the cardstock. And then I'm going to put my second cutting pad on the top, as always. And what I'm looking for is the feel here for this line where it's going to click. So you're going to run it through and then run it back. And like I said, I'm feeling for this little line because I do not want it to cut down here. So as you can see, it's cut. So I can remove that and set that to the side. Okay, at this point I can bring in my Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and I'm going to set the long edge across the top, and I'm going to look for my 4 1/4 inch mark and score, and then my 4 3/4 inch mark and score again. And I can set that aside and bring in my lovely lipstick cardstock. And I am going to score this at the 1/2 inch mark, and then again at the 2 3/4 inch mark on the short side. And then I am going to flip it, and I am going to score at the 2 inch mark and the 2 1/2 inch mark. And now I'm ready to set my board aside. One last bit of stamping that I forgot earlier. It's going to be the sentiment for my project, and I'm going to make sure I'm doing it the right direction here on my Whisper White piece. I'm going to ink up the Just For You, or whichever sentiment you'd like. I'm doing it on the lower edge of the paper in Lovely lipstick. And now I have all the pieces I need to put my project together. So let me show you how I did that. Okay, I'm going to start with the box for my chocolates. As you can see here, I've added 2 pieces of tear and tape onto the one edge above the score line, and I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to cut on these 2 score lines here where they intersect, and I'm taking out a small wedge here also to make it a little easier when I assemble it. That gives me a little cleaner feel, and so you can just remove these little pieces here. And then bring in your bone folder so that you can crease these score lines sharp. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And then the center here, which is the bottom of my little holder. Okay, once I've got that, I'm ready to assemble. Now I'm going to put these little tabs on the outside because I don't want them to block my chocolate. So I'm simply going to pull that in, remove the liner, and then line up my pieces in it here. And of course you can burnish this with your fingers or with your bone folder. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So I'm folding in the tab and that long piece, and then pulling off the liner and carefully lining up my edges and burnishing. You know that the tear and tape is a really strong adhesive, but if you happen to make an oops and need to correct it, go ahead and hit it with your heat tool and it'll come loose for you. Okay, and I'm scoring these two edges here so that it's ready to go. And I'm adding the heart to the top here. Now I just want to line this up so that this little divot is at the top of my cardstock. And I find that easy to do by taking a little bit of adhesive and running it across the top of the Flirty Flamingo, and then adding my adhesive to the back of the Designer Series paper. And what that does is allow me to get the adhesive exactly where I want it to be without guessing. So I'm going to burnish that a little bit and add a piece of the tear and tape here to the bottom panel and remove it. Now you can use multi-purpose adhesive if you'd like to, but it's going to require a little more dry time when you do this next step. So I've pulled off the protective layer. I have found the bottom of my box, and I'm lining this up here so that I've got an equal distance on either side. I hope you can see that. And of course you can use your grid paper if you'd like to, simply by laying it on the grid lines and using that as the guide. And I'm going to burnish this a little bit and bring this up and add my sentiment. Okay, I've got that on there, and now I'm going to bring in this fun Flirty Flamingo ribbon. I am not adhering this. My ribbon is going to hold everything together, but if you don't like that idea, you can adhere it down. I do not adhere the ribbon down because it allows me to move things after I get my bow, and that way I don't have to stress about where I'm tying my bow. And I'm going to adjust this to make it a little smaller. And then, like I said, I can simply take my fingers and slide this up and slide it over to where I want it to be. And I'm ready to trim so that it's the way I want. And now I'm ready to add the heart to the back here. So I like to take my multi-purpose adhesive for the heart, and I'm just taking a small dot. You'll find that if you squeeze, you'll get too much, so just allow it to kind of flow on its own, and put a very light layer of adhesive around your heart. Adhere it to the top here piece where we cut earlier with the Big Shot, and then on the back of my heart, and you can tell I've used this piece of cardstock earlier, but that's okay. It won't show because the dimensionals on the back, we're going to adhere this to the center of our heart. There we go. And now I'm ready for my chocolate. So I'm going to take some of these Little Marseilles and I'm going to slide them into my box. I like to alternate the flavors like so. There we go. So let me show you the original again. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. And if you don't already have a demonstrator and would like the 2019 Occasions catalog, email me your name, address, and phone number, and I'll be happy to send you one. Thanks for joining me.